What do you do when you find out your new office isn't just haunted, it's haunting you? We work at a therapy center, but something else is working with us too. In a quiet corner of downtown Indianapolis, there's a tall, glassy medical building that looks like any other. Foot traffic is constant. Doctors, nurses, patients, interns. No one ever suspects anything strange. But beneath all that normalcy, buried deep in the basement of that building, is a quiet little therapy center that almost no one knows exists. And maybe that's for a reason, because something else is down there, and it doesn't want to be forgotten. The behavior center in the basement, the therapy center specialized in children with autism, ranging from toddlers to teens. It was tucked into the north wing of the basement floor, behind two sets of heavy double doors and a hallway so narrow it felt like an afterthought. People who worked upstairs in the cardiology clinic or the driving school on the third floor didn't even know it existed. Inside the center, there were small therapy rooms, restrooms, offices, a sensory playroom, and a shared kitchen space. The kind of setup that should feel safe, but it didn't. Not to the staff. Not after what they experienced. Elena had joined the team just 6 months earlier, working as a registered behavior technician while finishing up her MBA. She hoped to shift into the marketing department once her exams were over. But for now, she worked one-on-one with the kids. One of her regular clients was a 7-year-old boy, mostly nonverbal, very calm. Not the prankster type, but something strange always happened during his bathroom breaks. One afternoon, Alina walked him to the restroom after he tapped his picture exchange board. She saw him walk in. The bathroom door, which usually closed slowly with a soft hydraulic push, slammed shut behind him. Startled, she opened it immediately. He was still there, standing quietly at the toilet. Startled, she closed the door again. 3 hard knocks, not childlike knocks. These were heavy, sharp, like a grown man knocking from inside. She opened the door again. He was still peeing, not even reacting. It didn't make sense. She told another therapist what happened. They stared at her and said, "You heard the knocks too, huh?" Apparently, everyone had. Same kid, same bathroom, same unexplained knocking. No one had a theory. No one really wanted one. A few weeks later, a senior therapist named Tasha was training a new staff member. She was mid-sentence in her notes when she stopped cold. "Wait, where the hell is my pen?" They all laughed. She'd just been writing. She checked her lap, her sleeves, under her clipboard. Nothing. She opened one drawer. Nothing. Another. Still nothing. Then she opened a third, and inside a sealed Ziploc bag sat her black pen. They all stared. She hadn't even touched that drawer. No one had. It was like something had moved the pen there on purpose. Later that week, Alina was getting ready to leave. She had to hurry. She smiled at Tasha. "Hey, thanks for helping me today." Tasha looked drained. "Yeah, no problem," she said quietly, already back at her computer. As Alina walked past her desk, she noticed a crumpled piece of paper. It was a note addressed to the staff. Alina leaned down and started reading aloud. "Hey guys, hope you have a great weekend. Sorry I couldn't stay and chat longer. Love, Tasha." Alina looked up. She'd written it from her phone. Then she saw Tasha's hands. They were shaking. She quickly shoved the note into her pocket. The therapy bag switch. Alina had pulled out 2 labeled coin bags from the storage bin for a reward-based activity. She stepped away to toss a wrapper. When she turned back, one of the bags was missing. Her coworker had moved. Then, suddenly, the bag was back in the bin. But now, the other bag was gone. She stared, confused. Lena searched for the missing bag and found it in the supply closet, right where she'd gotten the first one. She shrugged and dumped both on her desk. She thought it was weird. But later that afternoon, after a play session with her client, she returned to her desk to find the missing bag now sitting perfectly on her chair. Her coworker swore she hadn't touched it, but someone had. Something had. One day, Alina was walking hand in hand with a nonverbal 13-year-old boy down the long hallway toward the sensory room. Halfway through, she felt herself pulled back, like the kid had suddenly stopped. She turned to look. The boy was standing at the other end of the hallway, staring at her, but she could still feel a hand in hers, warm, solid, but it wasn't his. The walls weren't the only things that occasionally moved. Sometimes they heard things, screams. One afternoon, 3 therapists heard what sounded like a young girl screaming in terror. They ran toward the noise. It was coming from the sensory room. When they opened the door, it was empty. The lights were dim. Glow-in-the-dark stars had fallen from the ceiling onto the padded floor. The back exit, which had a security lock, was wide open. Outside it, a wet, concrete floor. None of them had touched the door. Then Alina heard a sob from the other end of the hall. She turned, rushing toward the sound. She spotted a staff member peeking around the corner. "Did you see it?" she whispered. "I think I did," the other therapist replied. "I saw a boy, a kid, running down the hall, toward the front doors. Small, skinny, wearing a blue hoodie. He turned into the elevator. I swear, the elevator doors slid shut before they could react." One day, Alina heard violent retching coming from the staff bathroom. She glanced up. Another therapist rushed past her. "Hey Alina, can you cover for me? I gotta use the bathroom." Puzzled, she agreed. Then she heard it again, louder this time. Someone violently heaving. The bathroom door was locked, the light flickering. Quickly, Alina grabbed the master key from its hook on the wall. As she opened the door, the retching sounds still echoed. But when the door swung open, there was no one there. No vomit, no person, just the stench. Then the toilet flushed by itself. The thing that works beside them. They tried to ignore it at first, tried to convince themselves it was just an old building with drafty pipes and an overactive imagination. But there's a kind of cold that doesn't come from air conditioning. The therapy center was always freezing. Toys fell from shelves. Cabinets slammed shut in empty rooms. Doors locked and unlocked themselves. Footsteps echoed down halls when no one was there. Knocks, laughter, whispers. Sometimes it felt like something was playing. Other times, it felt like something was watching. None of the therapists liked talking about it directly. They laughed nervously, blamed the old pipes, the building layout, their imaginations. Cool, but deep down, they all knew something else was working in that basement with them, and little by little, it was making sure they noticed.